This man has convinced the overlords of the world just by making a burger, in order to eat his delicious food. The great black dragon even chose to become his employee, just because Al came into the world after. He realized that the food here was not only bad, it was hard for him to eat. How hot would it be if I could open a restaurant here? So becoming a chef was his only dream, but then suddenly there was a war. The young men must join the attack on the black dragon. But when you're unlucky, you can't even drink. God should have let the truck take me away. But soon it was because he had a gift for magic. He was assigned to the wizard team. Compared to a knight, wizards don't have to fight in the front. He finally persisted with his dream. After 15 years, he finally retired. The town of Drake is where he started his new life. Opened a restaurant with a partner he met in the group. And that's when he called out to a woman, and he cried out and asked if there was a store here. After a few pleasantries, the man learns her name is Rain. She's the owner of a store in the neighborhood. She then recommended her husband's store to Al. It's not far from this village. At the same time, Rain reminds Al, her husband is a little grumpy. But Al, after meeting such a kindly Rain, I'm sure her husband was a very nice man to talk to. But when he saw it, he was too flustered to speak. The owner mistook him for a vendor from another store. The boss was furious and said, "You're all getting meat at a cheap price, and then you sell it for twice as much before it spoils." Al was stunned when he heard this. "I just got here." At this time, a pan landed hard on the back of his head. The boss, who was so cocky a moment ago, lost his temper. Then he asked Al if he wanted belen meat. And Al said yes. I didn't realize that the grumpy boss was afraid of the friendly boss's wife. Al, caught in the middle, says, "I want to go home." Under the boss lady's pan, the boss can only be good enough to get the meat. And she's very sorry about that. He was a soldier once, but after being cheated by one of his own colleagues, he became this. Meanwhile, the owner also brought the meat, and signaled Al to show off his own cooking skills. Because this belen meat is of the finest quality, he'll only supply it if it's approved by him. Otherwise, you won't even get a piece of the fat. Let's see what you can cook up. We're not done yet. A pan comes at the back of his head again. The boss's wife gestures for Al to ignore his offer, though the terms are harsh. But Al agrees to his boss's offer, and invites the two to taste it at his restaurant in the evening. And then he left confidently. In the world, livestock and animals have names completely different from where he was born. Cows are called Ukaz. The chicken is called Barunku. The wolf's name is Burin. The pig is called Yuba. Belen meat was considered an expensive ingredient. The most cost-effective meat choice is pork. But people here don't know the taste of streaky meat. Considering the quality of the streaky meat, roasting is naturally the most flavorful. Before this, the meat needs to be cut into multiple slits, for a more flavorful marinade. During the baking process, the water on the surface of the meat evaporates quickly, and that's how you enjoy a crisper texture. I didn't realize that a move that could kill a demon in one hit could be used to cut meat. Isn't that a bit of an overkill? That's when the doorbell rang. It's Mr. and Mrs. Runyon. Al then asked them to wait a moment. Lane was complimenting him on the cleanliness of his hotel. Noelle, on the other hand, can't help but complain a little. Rain silently pulls out her pan. Looks like the bottom of the pan isn't bright enough. On the other side of the room, Al is preparing the roast. The grill pan is heated and lightly oiled, due to the high fat content of streaky meat. So apply it in moderation, so that it doesn't stick to the pan. When you put the meat in, start with the skin side first. Otherwise the skin may dry out when the interior starts to cook, making it difficult to grill evenly. Delicious cooking even enhances the appetite through sound. The sound of pork sizzling is just that. Fried pork rinds. Then adjust the heat. Give the sides of the pork rinds some color. Sprinkle the meat with salt and then brown it thoroughly, to make sure the temperature inside is even. And then cut it into convenient serving sizes. Next, prepare a salad to accompany the meal. Maybe the locals aren't too familiar with this burrito-only approach. A variety of vegetables and rich seasonings balance the richness of the grilled streaky meat. Mr. Noel seems to be meticulous. Unnecessary additions can be best avoided. And finally, we'll mount it on a disc. And as a final touch, the salad and roasted streaky meat are done. When the roast is brought to the table, Rain is already looking forward to it. Let's see how AL's cooking is going. Just one bite. Crispy Yuba meat blossoms in your mouth as if you're running through the grasslands. Is this really Yuba meat? Al gives the affirmative. Of course, the rich flavor of the salad also washes away its greasiness. Rain didn't think it would go so well together. At the same time, he asked for Mr. Noel's opinion. And by now, Mr. Noel's plate is empty, and said it wasn't enough, not by a long shot. Signal him to put more on. Next, a pan appears on his skull. Is one pan enough? Mr. Noel then whispered, "Congratulations on passing the test. Just say what kind of meat you want, and I'll provide the best meat in the empire." And Al thanks Mr. Noel very much for that. But now I want more barbecue. Al then signaled them to wait a moment. At the same time, the scent of the kitchen drifts to a girl's room, and the girl is attracted to the sudden scent.